It's time for business, and we say hello to Kate Moody.
Hi, Francois.
Boris Johnson sitting down for dinner with Ursula von der Leyen in hopes of an 11th hour breakthrough on that Brexit trade deal. The UK, which is firing on all cylinders, trying to seal up a deal with the US as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because as of January 1st, the UK no longer to be part of the European trading bloc. And so it's decided to break ranks, if you will, a few weeks before its official independence there. And it's going to be suspending trade tariffs on American imports. Now, the EU imposed those retaliatory tariffs last month as part of a long-running transatlantic trade dispute over illegal subsidies to plane makers Airbus and Boeing. The US had targeted European goods with tariffs last year. The British government says it's hoping to de-escalate trade tensions with Washington once it's no longer bound by Brussels. But it's broadly seen as an effort to set the stage for a post-Brexit trade deal with the US, which has so far proved elusive. Well, for more, we can speak to Allyson Stewart-Allen, Chief Executive of International Marketing Partners in London. Thanks for joining us this evening. What do you make of the timing of this announcement? Is it a declaration of independence as Boris Johnson holds these last-ditch talks on a trade deal in Brussels?
Well, it certainly feels that way. The UK post-Brexit is going to need all of the trading partners it can get. And this economy post-COVID is needing to focus on ways that it can support its domestic companies. The US is the biggest trading partner for the UK, and therefore it's not a coincidence that the British Department for International Trade announced today, or at least supposedly announced today, that it would be suspending these tariffs, and it hopes certainly that it gets the attention of the Biden administration once it's in post after the 20th of January, in an effort to reinforce its historical trading relationship with the United States. But most importantly, it hopes that it can move up the agenda of the Biden administration, who will no doubt be preoccupied with the many domestic issues that will dominate the Biden administration at home for several months to come.
Do you think the gamble will be effective? Will it really help ease that path towards a US-UK trade deal?
Well, I think it certainly shows willing on the part of the UK to show that it is very interested in and highly dependent on the United States for trade. And because a deal with the EU is still to be negotiated, perhaps the size of the prize for British companies to trade with the United States, given the history, given the mythology, if you like, of the special relationship between the US and the UK, I think certainly the Johnson administration is hoping that a deal with the States is sealed even perhaps before a deal with the EU.
Why hasn't the UK managed to seal a deal with the US yet, as it has, for example, with Japan earlier this year?
A number of factors. Obviously, we've had an election in the US that's distracted us for the last several months. We've had COVID on both sides of the Atlantic, which has again focused leaders on the economy, on supporting jobs, and a number of domestic issues. And of course, the dispute, if you like, over tariffs, which today is maybe a watershed moment in being able to show that you can remove tariffs if you really want to. So I think, leaders on both sides of the Atlantic have been dealing with a number of other challenges in their own backyards. And also at the same time, let's not forget that the UK has been trying to navigate a Brexit negotiation and deal, which has also been not easy. So I think in the transition from a Trump to a Biden administration, I think there's a sense of waiting until Biden is in place and then actually putting their foot on the gas and trying to get that done.
So your analysis there seems to be that this announcement about tariffs is much more targeting the incoming Biden administration rather than the outgoing Trump one. What do we know about how Joe Biden plans to deal with post-Brexit Britain?
Well, we know that Biden is not necessarily a big fan of the Johnson administration. He's called Boris Johnson a mini Trump. He is also very concerned, and has been, about any compromises or risks to the Good Friday Agreement that would jeopardize Northern Ireland and the mainland, Southern Ireland. And so I think you have a pretty wary administration to come that will wonder whether the UK keeps its promises. And since they have been given some reason to doubt that, I think it's quite worrying for the UK, if I'm perfectly honest. I think they've compromised trust. And I think until Biden appoints his Secretary of Commerce, his U.S. Trade Representative, whoever those post holders ultimately are, there's not a lot of progress that's going to be made. So I think, frankly, at the earliest, we're looking at February, maybe March. And even then, I fully expect that the focus will be on immunization and rolling the vaccine for COVID-19 out. That'll be a much higher priority, certainly, probably for both leaders and countries, rather than the trade deal.
All right, Allyson Stewart-Allen of International Marketing Partners, thanks so much for joining us from London this evening. Just got time to take a look at the day's trading action now. The pound sterling has steadied slightly despite that ongoing uncertainty in Brussels. The British currency trading just below $1.34 and €1.10 there. This is a real barometer of how markets are feeling about those ongoing negotiations and the risk of a no-deal Brexit. We saw another mixed close for the major European indices. The FTSE 100 ending slightly above the flat line in London. The DAX up about half a percentage point in Frankfurt. The Paris CAC 40 a bit lower there at the close. Investors are looking ahead to tomorrow's meeting of the European Central Bank, which is expected to boost emergency stimulus for the bloc. Wall Street turning back from its recent records as lawmakers in Washington continue to tussle over the latest round of coronavirus relief funds. The Trump administration has presented its own proposal, but has gained little traction so far. I'll be back with the closing word on Wall Street a little later on.
All right, many thanks for that, Kate Moody.